the knob off. You're tuned in to the #1 show on the planet. The Heffron and Reep Show.
Hey everybody, it is comedian Jon Heffron.
And Jon
Use the
Reep.
word comedian in front of my name. Because what, I'm so unfunny, I got to use comedian? No, jagoffs. Jon Heffron wasn't available on Instagram. Jon Reep, how are you?
I'm good, brother. How are you? This is exciting. We're live once again. We have a big lineup of people today, lots to talk about. And I know you were preparing for, 37 feet of snow coming your way.
It's definitely happening. It's going to be a snow day, which is good, which I'm excited for. Even though we just went a full year or 2 years of COVID, which was kind of just like a snow day, right? But still, official snow days are kind of cooler.
Yeah.
You know? I don't have to go anywhere for maybe 5 days, so I don't have to worry about travel unless it keeps going on the weekend. So
Are you supposed to go somewhere this weekend?
I have a corporate event somewhere in Mississippi, so something weird.
So but you go down south where it's a little bit warmer.
Yeah, so I have to leave Sunday, but yeah.
I have a gig. My next gig will be in Albany, New York, this coming Friday and Saturday. I'll be at the Funny Bone in Albany, New York, and it's supposed to snow there as well. So,
how was your shows? You were with this weekend. It was the Reep in Reno.
Reep in Reno. We did Walhalla, South Carolina, and Shelby, North Carolina. One show, one night, little theaters, went well.
Who out of you're doing shows with Reno, Reno Collier, who's on the show a lot, and I think super hilarious. So you guys have done a couple theaters together, the Reep in Reno show. I don't remember reading anything. You know how like if a band wants to use somebody's lead singer, and then that band who wants to use the lead singer says, Hey, Bon Jovi guys, can we use Bon Jovi for just one track of thing? So now that you've worked with Reno and me,
yes,
which one is more difficult? Not different. Well, I won't define difficult.
What in what aspect are we talking?
I know. I'll let you choose the definition of difficult.
Okay. Both of you are extremely funny and hard to follow. So the only problem here is when I have to go last, because, following a headliner, I mean, the show needs to move in an upward trajectory. It seems that way to me. So if one headliner is a little bit less energy than the other one, then that, could be a problem sometimes. So knowing that Reno is a big ball of energy, and knowing that you're a powerhouse, I hate having to follow. So I'm happier to go in the middle. And I do feel like when you're co-headlining, even though you're co-headlining and both of you are supposed to do, 45 minutes or whatever that is, I think the guy in the middle has some duty to the guy behind him. I feel like the guy in the middle needs to not go to the crowd as much. Don't open up Pandora's box. Maybe do 40, not 45. And and just save a little bit at the end. Yeah.
But who's wound? I'm probably more wound tighter off stage in prep.
Reno has a lot of questions. Reno likes to talk a lot. You don't. Like you'll just do your thing and split.
I know you guys got stressed when I was driving that one day when we were doing here in Michigan.
Yeah, I didn't have to drive with Reno at all this time.
Oh, okay. So
I was in my own car by myself, which is fine. Reno is not. He just has a lot. He just has a lot of. He wants to do a bunch of them. I'm like, it's going great, man, but I got a lot of stuff coming in. Just Reep, and I like that as well. I get more money that way. So I have to find the right balance.
You're probably getting that from both of us, because I always blow up your stuff going, we gotta. Here's why I do it. I'm so bored on the road now. Like we'll talk. I know we have guests, so I don't want to.
We're gonna get to Tammy here in a minute.
Okay, let's say hello to our first guest.
Wait, won't you introduce her?
Oh, I didn't make one of those things like I made for Kevin for her.
What are you talking about? No, let's just look. You know her. I know her.
I know her.
She's one of the funniest comedians on the face of the earth, and we've known her for many, 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 many years.
Many years.
She was also a veteran of Last Comic Standing and done a lot of USO tours, and we're happy to have her right now. Why don't we welcome to the show the always funny, beautiful Tammy Pescatelli? Huh?
There
you guys are
she is.
And that's you
Tim.
need glaucoma check. Thank you, John. And
Oh,
John.
come on now. How are you, Tammy? Where are you at?
I'm at home. Look at my fake moving green.
Oh, you got one of the green screens that fit on your chair?
Yeah, because look at that.
But
It's like see all the cool stuff that I have behind me.
But the
it's
thing with
like
the green,
like a peacock's tail feathers,
Yeah, and then I can take it off and put it away, and then I can use it to block out the sun in my car when I want to sleep on the road.
yeah, and you can hold it like that when you want. See, I'm trying to do that. So you have a green screen. I have one of those, but then I don't know how to put anything on the green screen. So then I would end up like you in front of a green screen without a backdrop.
Well, that's it. Your thing. I don't know this platform that you guys are on, and this was the dumbest thing ever. I should just be sitting in front of my Wonder Woman collection like everybody else. But everybody who has a podcast does it a different way.
Yeah.
Well, everybody like podcast studios now. The fun thing about podcasts when you first did them is you had the little Zoom recorder, and you didn't have to visually show yourself. That's what's fun. And now you see podcasts, you're like, okay, you're full on at a TV studio at this point. I can't, like, you see this, Tammy, I got swatches going because I can't figure out what color I should make that. And then these lockers, I'm going through a grown-up phase in life. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to be childish. Maybe I'm not childish with all this, and I make it more gentleman-y for when I do my business podcast.
Yeah, that doesn't fit you. But the fact of the matter is that you think you're upset. I have to put on makeup because and then I wonder, I hope it's visual because I have to go put on I catfish myself at this point. I put on so much makeup because I'm old, guys. Like, it's easy. You guys are men. You can grow a beard. You can angle things out. Women love you regardless. I'm chubby and old, and it's not fun.
You guys can't see it, and I just took my headphones off. I can kind of hear. Do you know what I did to my hair recently?
Hang on, let me guess.
Bang.
Well, hang on, John. You didn't put any
You dyed it, didn't you?
Did you dye it, dude?
I dyed it.
He dyed his hair.
I dyed it,
how I
and
feel
it's
about
horrible.
this.
It's.
Take your hat back off. Hang on.
Okay.
Come on,
But
man.
what did you use? Did you use it just for men? You can't. You need highlights. That's why men's hair looks goofy. You have to have
Hold on.
highlights.
Can you hear us, John? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's.
I can't tell. It looks like it's just sort of matted down. Is it wet?
Well, no, because I had the hat on, but it's that. My hair's never been black, but they kid dyed it black, and it looks horrible because then my whiskers are gray, and then I didn't know if you're supposed to dye your eyebrows. So then,
Well, see this?
Yeah. So then I've been washing my hair 3 times a day with the shittiest shampoo to try to get the dye out.
So you didn't do it
Well,
yourself. That's
listen.
good.
Yeah, and I look like Gene Simmons now at this stage of the game, so I can't complain over it. At some point, some people are going completely gray, but I just can't do it yet. I'm not.
You need that
just not
gray.
there yet.
I
You
got
need
the
that.
2 gray spots right here, and I will just, John, since you opened up and you were so honest,
Yeah.
and you shared, you were vulnerable, you showed me your hair. From time to time, I'll get a little mascara thing that's like this color of this side,
Mhm.
and I'll cover up the gray.
Okay.
I've done
Yeah.
it. I'm guilty of it. I
Listen.
don't. No one wants to get old.
Yeah.
Well, it
And
does suck because it's the first thing they say. Like, it's the one shame. You can't fat shame, you can't slut shame, but they will call you old in a heartbeat.
Right.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing. I had one of those moments on. I was telling John this on stage in Denver this weekend. I'm about to go on stage, and later on we're gonna have Kevin, Dr. Kevin, on, who is a comic.
Oh my God, I love him. Amazing.
From Colorado, and he's got an amazing story. It's kind of okay. I know I'm all over the place, but his story is inspiration to me to show that you could be 4 different people in your lifetime. You don't have to be guy, girl, one, and just stick with that thing. That you can just go, my persona's changing, I'm changing careers, now I'm this thing. And still have some amazing left. That he was with me this whole weekend, and he saw me. I felt I did a reptilian shedded my skin on one of the shows on Thursdays in Denver, and it was the most amazing show I ever had. But I came out of it chemically changed in the sense of who I am on stage, and he witnessed it. I was on stage to show you because you both know.
Get your penis caught in the microphone again, John?
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah, I am lazy. So if I get to a club and they go, how much time do you want to do? I go, what's the league minimum? I'm doing the least amount that I can do. This show, I was on stage for almost an hour and 40 minutes.
Wow, Eddie Griffin.
I was one of those guys. And I just had this spiritual moment on stage, and it was super fun. I won't bore everybody with it, but.
And were you able to remember it the next day? That's the thing.
No, it was
Wow.
It was unredoable. Like there, it was one of those shows, right? There's somebody in the front row talking to him, and it kind of went so deep and weird. I don't know if you could ever repeat it, you know?
So you did like a whole improv.
I was on stage. Well, I was probably 40 minutes in before I did the first joke.
And at the Denver Comedy Works, which is the one that's not downtown, the one that's in the
which is
green
south.
Yeah,
that
place is amazing. Anyway,
yeah,
like that's how that happened. That wouldn't have happened if I was at a Funny Bone second show Friday with
that club,
200 comps.
Specifically that one. I mean, yes, all Denver Comedy Works are amazing. It's arguably the best comedy club in the country. It's right up there with Zany's for me. Those are two of my favorite ones. But both of those clubs are great. Now, the one that's the South one is a little bit more preppy or yuppie. It's got a rich vibe to it. A lot of like rich older people who come in there and kind of be like, don't even know who you are and kind of go like, entertain me, kind of a vibe.
Yeah.
Did that help you is that a reason why you decided to go off and just, what did you do?
I had this thing because I think I was online and I was talking with, I'll say these people nameless. Somebody was just kind of popping off about a few YouTube comics and just how diva-y and how much hand-holding they needed and stuff like that, which is not the persona. If you see them on their podcast, they're very very macho men, but then you hear just literally how babies they are. So I was just like, you know what? I'm so sick of not, because obviously all the Rogan stuff is happening, and you go online and then everybody's like, Spotify's #1 for sticking with Rogan. And then I get pissed going, oh, you mean the platform that took all of my albums off because they don't want to give me $200 a year? That platform. So,
right. We said that and it dipped. No one cared.
Nobody cares. Like there are minimum of 50 comedians whose all their albums are off of Spotify. Because when you get paid per stream, I think it's maybe for every 1,000 streams or 3,000, but it's literally 0.00043 or something like that. However that works out. And a bunch of comics that are represented by the same people go, hey, you can't just have free content. Can we get 1 cent for every 3,000 things? And they went, nope. And then they pulled everybody. These took all mine off. You can't. Yeah. You can't find my albums anymore, and I'm a nobody. But they also took off, like super powerful guys. So when I see all the Spotify stuff, I'm like, I know it's very selfish.
What people also don't understand is that's really also that kind of mailbox money is what we kind of called it, is what got comics through, because we weren't allowed to perform live. So finally, for once, we were recognized when Spotify and Sirius and all those other platforms came up. Not only did it copyright our material, so then if someone did take it, you could go, hey, this has been copyrighted a while ago, but also it gave us some money, some income, something that was coming through to pay bills. I wouldn't have made it through without a Spotify and a Sirius.
Yeah, seriously. So that show, so I walk out, I look at the other Denver comic, and I was freaking out. I looked at him, I go, dude, I don't know what I want to say when I get on stage. Ever have moments where you just fight with yourself when you're on stage doing a bit, and halfway through you're like, I'm so fucking sick of this bit.
Yes.
I think, and you literally just like are arguing with yourself.
Yeah.
So I had one of those moments, and then I just walk on stage, and Kevin, who's gonna be on, like he set him up perfect, beautiful intro. I walk out, and I start talking, and there's a kid right in the front row, and I do my stuff I always do, where I find the youngest kid, but and I asked him, I go, how old are you? And this is after I tell the crowd, I go, listen, I'm right down the middle, vanilla comedy. I've never been groundbreaking, but I don't talk about sex, race, or religion. You're going to be indifferent. When you leave, you're going to have a good time, but when you leave, you're going to be indifferent. I am the Matchbox 20 of comedy. And I go, you're not going to change the channel, but I'm not going to make any of your mixtapes.
John, hang on real quick. This is a perfect time. Put a pin in that thought.
Okay.
Last week, Tammy, we asked our listeners, our viewers, because we're live right now on Facebook and YouTube. There's comments coming up. We're going to ignore the comments for a minute. But last week we asked everybody, if you had to pick a band or a type of music to describe your type of comedy, what would it be? People look at me and go, country, southern rock. So last week, John, you've said Matchbox 20 about yourself.
Yeah.
Shane Flint said Heffron is Blink 182. No. I don't know if I agree with that. What do you think, Tammy? What is John? Or what do you think I am? Or what would you describe yourself as?
Yeah.
Musically.
John is JAMIROQUAI.
He had one hit. He did the.
I think John. No, he had a lot of hits.
That's not bad, dude.
JAMIROQUAI.
JAMIROQUAI.
You are JAMIROQUAI because people know him. They follow him all around. The people who know him love him. He hits stuff like if you know his song, you sing it. You know what I mean?
What he's got, remember that video? It's like, virtual insanity.
Yeah. And you like to dance and that kind of stuff. I see that.
Yeah.
That's why I laughed out loud when she said it, because it's true.
It's spot on. That's why.
All right.
So,
what about you, Tammy? What are you?
What am I? Probably that guy from You Spin Me Right Round. That's who I'm morphing into. Remember the guy?
Oh, I'm gonna be yeah.
I don't know. I've become a real caricature of myself even lately. I'm not even sure what. I mean, I'm a little Tiny Tim, maybe.
Well, I would do something because everyone likes to put you because I sound Southern, so you would maybe say country or Southern rock.
Yeah.
And I think of Tammy, I would think something like Italian, something like Sinatra, or like some sort of a crooner. If there's like a female crooner type of a thing.
Well, I'm so chubby now. I look like the fat girl from Heart. So that's probably I'm like half a heart.
There you go.
Okay, you know what, Tammy? I'm not taking away the fat comment, because I'm offended that you're body shaming yourself. I think
who does it better than me?
Like a heart would be the example when I ask people what band are you is the thing, because you got to go, how are their songs? Are they just, you're not the Wilson Phillips, right? So Heart has some good songs that have good meetings, and then people are into them, and then they've been around forever. Like there's some comics now that I see that you're like, oh, you're that dance, what's a DNC with the Jonas Brothers, you won't be around. You won't have a crowd 10 years from now because it's 80s metal, superficial. People are going to look back and go, man, that talked about just talked about getting laid and being high all the time. That gets old. That's what I told the kid. And then I'll shut up. The moment I went on stage, I'm about to look at him, and I have all these jokes about younger kids. And I go, how old are you? Getting ready just to do my normal little thing that I do. He's like, I'm 23. And then I just stop and I go, I don't want to fucking talk to your age. And I took the longest pause you could think, because I was like, in my head, I'm thinking, I'm not doing any of my jokes about younger people. I'm done. I'm done talking. I'm done. And then I looked at him. I go, I can't pander to your age group. Your guys my age that want younger audiences pander. That's why they're dancing on TikTok. That's why they're talking about pot. I go, listen, I'm an adult. I do drugs, but I don't talk about it. And that's what a gentleman does.
That's great. That's great.
And it was
I've been opening.
What?
Yeah, no, here's the thing. It occurred to me one day when I got on stage, like, that there are 7 generations that could be at your show at any time, especially because where we are as comics, we aren't like, Doug Benson has a certain demographic, Stanhope has a certain demographic. Ours is, we are wide ranging. People got to know us on television. So that meant they were watching with their kids, maybe their parents, whatever. So I literally got on stage, and I kind of say this lately, that, there are 7 generations alive right now. You have the greatest generation, baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, millennials, zennials, the new gen, whatever they call it. I'm like, I can't possibly entertain 7 generations in one show. You're supposed to pick a demographic and move forward. So if you're not happy, ask the older person you came with or the younger person if they enjoyed my show.
But that's why I was trying to do the music thing, going, like, not all bands are for everybody. And I think it's,
Well, I'll tell you what Rick Sanford III said. That's another guy who.
What did he say?
He said Alonzo Bowden is definitely smooth jazz, like Miles, Coltrane, Adderley. Jon Reep is definitely a cross between hair metal and southern rock, like Def Leppard, Poison, Eagles, Bad Company. And I kind of agree with him. John Heffron is a radio that is stuck on scan, and every radio station pops up for a minute and then moves on.
I like that.
It's like it pops up, you hear it, and then it moves to the next one.
Hey, Reep, I just decided, who you would be, Reep? Would I get your vibe? Again, I'm including work ethic, stage performance, live shows, musical content of the songs. I would go, you're maybe 38 special.
Oh, I like that.
Not Southern.
38 special.
38 special.
Yeah, what do they sing?
Yeah.
What's a hit?
Oh.
What's one of their
They
hits?
come to Atlanta. I'll play it for you while we keep talking.
But yeah, get it. Well, here's the thing too. I think that people, it just also depends what they meant to. Like, I'm also very White Snake, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I've been down that road before. All of us together are Journey, though. I think we're all like Journey. I think we've been substituted by the younger guy. You know what I mean? I think we're all.
Right.
That's hilarious, right?
Journey.
Everyone loves us. Everyone knows our songs word for word.
There you go. They love us. I think, I'm jelly that you're on tour with Reno. I've been dying for all of us to go. I mean, really seriously, I don't know if we need to call it a festival and show up someplace, but if we all went, the both of you, myself, Alonzo Reep,
Yeah. Reno.
What's his name? Reno,
Greg,
who I love.
Greg
I can't think of his name.
Well, you got
so
Reno.
Old. Well,
Reno Collier. That's why I wanted to do the circle of friends kind of thing. I want you, Hef, Reno, Greg Warren. Maybe it could grow, but like guys like us, we were thinking. Well, John, you were calling us journeymen, or what was it you were saying?
We're the 6 men off the bench.
I like this song.
This is Reep. Did you ever have a dad who tried to fix the wall? Did you ever?
Right. I see
ridiculous.
it. I gotta go look up and see what they look like too.
I'll take
that.
Lead Singer comes to the Atlanta Punchline every time I'm there. Also, this is their big song, too. Hey, if it's 75 degrees, it's going to be about 80 a little bit later. Don't forget, everybody, we'll be at the Docks all weekend. Make sure you show up for the Z97 is your choice. The classic music.
Hey, Joe.
Pretty good.
Yeah, you know it. That was good, John. That was a good talk up, John. That's good. Maybe you can send your tape out. We can get you another morning show without someone who was on TV as a child and hates themselves and hates everyone around them.
Right.
But you know what I was thinking about too, guys? We should get an RV and travel, and we'll just play trailer park after trailer park.
So, okay.
Well, I've talked
Tamu,
about this before. It'd be great.
I can make this happen. Okay, so I have master plans of just controlling all of Michigan, right? And my goal in life would be I do a month's worth of shows in Michigan, and then I sit on my
I know
ass.
you talk about them all the time. You don't hook anybody up.
I did it with Reep. Ask him about the bowling alleys. I had an idea, and I followed through with it. He was there.
Yes.
He saw it.
He did it.
Call Zoe right now. Zoe and I were talking about, because Zoe and I have been doing stuff together, and we feel like we should call you when we're together and go, hey, how about that? We're doing this stuff.
Here where I live, there's a 400-seat outdoor theater a mile from my house. There's a 300-seat theater within an hour of my house. You guys come to my house. We make some of them, but you haven't even had Michelle's cooking yet. It's you don't even no.
But we haven't even met her. I can't wait.
It's the most unbelievable.
I can't wait.
got home.
You got married.
I got in the house last night and it smelled like cookies. And then I walk in another room and I go, "Is that stew?" And then I came out and there was mashed potatoes and stew and cookies. And then I got a welcome home and I'm like, what? Anyway,
see what happens when your dogs die?
Yeah, you find true love. So here's the deal. Let's make this happen. I can. So
yeah,
I don't know if John will be part of it.
Well, this is the start of it, guys. I mean, us talking as much as possible every week, rotating people in and out. We start with a core group. We build it, and the Reep and Reno ones, Reno's making that happen. I'm just like going, okay, So
I know. Well, and I love Reno. I think that I've been wanting to work with all of you guys. It's definitely time. And when are we going to do it? If we don't do this now, I mean, what are we going to do? The retirement tour?
Yeah.
Where we make our way down to South Florida and then just stay at whatever home has us there?
But let me tell you about the retirement tour, Tammy. We're also almost too late for that. They have these things, if you want to perform where all the retirement people are. They have showcases, just like when you were 20 doing NACA showcases.
John, let me fill you in. I once sat in between a Judy Garland impersonator and an Elvis impersonator and thought, how fast could I choke myself to death?
Yeah.
Because that's where I was there.
So they're already booked to like 2030, which is good because we're going to be the perfect age. But if it was me, Reep, you, and we could Reno or Alonzo, but if you put Alonzo in, then there's a little bit more of a theme. We should do that. Who would not want to see that? We all do 20 minutes. Nobody's crazy. Nobody talks to the audience. You go up and do 20 minutes. We go a thing, and we're done.
Yeah.
I think your child just fell off of a table.
I just kicked. That was my wooden leg.
All right, so okay, so that's
a great idea.
Let's do this. Let's bring in our the three of us. We can talk to our next guest, who I spent this weekend with in Denver. Every time I'm in Denver, I hope he works with you, or he's working at the club, because I sit and I listen to all of his stories the entire time in the green room, because he's had such a fascinated life. And then when he's telling stories and you hear your name being called, you're kind of bummed that you have to stop listening to the stories and go on stage. So I don't even know where to begin once we start talking to him, because the man's life he's literally like that Dos Equis guy. He's like literally the most interesting man in the world. So let's hit all the buttons and get Kevin on.
Woo!
The buttons. No, the buttons.
Hey.
Hey, Kev. Okay, hold on. Yeah, Kev, we're gonna do. So we have buttons.
I just called him last week, by the way, or maybe 3 weeks ago, over my dog, because he's amazing.
Thank you for setting that up, Tammy Pescatelli. We're gonna talk to this guy coming up. Is Kevin. but he's on a bunch of vet TV shows. He's a vet. He's a vet by trade. Every time I've seen him, I ask him dog questions and people always do that. So right now in the comment section, because we're not looking, if you have any question that you would want to ask a vet, this is the time. Not an army vet, so a veterinarian. If you have any questions about your animals doing this or that, what do I do with this or this? At the end, Kevin, we will all answer them. So in the comments, if you have any questions about your animals, put them there. Okay, now we'll hit.
He's not a regular vet, by the way, too. He's like a guy that goes down and tags polar bears.
Yeah,
although,
polar bears, penguins. He's got so many conservation type things going on. He does. Tortoises. I literally think there are 3,000 tortoises swimming in the ocean that has had his finger up their behind. Literally 3,000. So there we go. It's probably a support group. Okay, now we'll hit the buttons and have Kevin on.
All right.
Woo!
There they are.
Kevin,
hello.
Kevin, I apologize. I thought I had another video for you. That's why I kept saying that. It was a video of your intro. And I did it with my creepy John Heffron AI computer voice. Alan, do you have that video? If not, then here comes. Okay.
Wait, he got 2 videos and I got
security
0.
guy for Bill
That's
Graham. This Kevin Fitzgerald is a Denver native, but he's well-traveled and known around the world. Early on, he was a security guy for Bill Graham. This led him to security details with big bands, most notably the Rolling Stones and Willie Nelson. He's been a vet for 26 years at Alameda East Veterinarian Hospital in Denver and a stand-up comedian for 22 years. He's best known around the country for Animal Planet's reality series Emergency Vets. Please welcome Kevin Fitzgerald.
That's an old thing. I've been a veterinarian for 40 years and doing.
Well, also, Kevin, I got to be honest with you. On that bio I got it from, it said you were 57. So I just didn't retype the math because I figured.
I'm 70. I would have been, 71, but I was sick a year. But I'm 70. I'm 70, but I can read it. I can read it at 71-year-old level.
Okay, John.
So here's what I don't even know where to start with people. If people who don't know who you are, or they're watching this and they're like, well, who's this guy?
That's easy.
Well, but you have such an amazing life that it always kind of, for me, I always love hearing about I don't even know how many lives before, because you're a comic who's performed forever and unbelievably funny. You're also a veterinarian, but then even before that life, you did security for some of the biggest bands that ever exist, and you have the craziest stories about. You worked for Rolling Stones, right?
I did.
Willie Nelson.
I worked for Willie. Willie's the best. He knows every joke. Willie's so funny. He's like, how come Hitler doesn't drink tequila? It made him mean. That's a Willie joke. That's a Willie joke.
You told me so. Like I don't even know where to begin. So we'll just kind of start life. So you are a young man, and did you live in San Francisco at the time? Is that how you got with Billy Graham?
No. I started off here in Denver, and Barry Fay, my promoter that I started with here, Barry was revolutionary. He was farsighted about tours, and he revolutionized the modern tour, and went to the Stones and said, listen, right now, when tours come over, you have to deal with a different promoter in every city. And, there's a nut cutting in every accounting room about how many butts were in seats. So he said, I'll sell every ticket for the whole tour. And that revolutionized things. And so I was working at the door at a place, he told me, I'll give you Chuck Morris, his partner, said, I'll give you $1.39 an hour. And we were my brother, my cousins, we were fighting in supper clubs, and they saw us fighting, the Golden Gloves or whatever, and so they hired us to work the door at places. So he said, "I'll give you $1.39 an hour and a hamburger every shift, and a flashlight." That was in 1968. That was the minimum wage, and so he said, "But you'll."
I got news for you. That's what they paid me when I started comedy too.
Yeah,
so
yeah. There's
Right. So
a guy working the Funny Bone Columbus making the exact same thing, but he doesn't get a hamburger or a flashlight. Yeah.
Right. So then he started these tours, and they needed security. They needed some bouncers. We needed to go. My job was to go a day ahead of the band, hire the bouncers in that town, look at the hotel, how we get them from the airport to the hotel to the venue back, keep the kids away, and then it evolved. In the beginning, it was like comedy. It was the tours, rock and roll concerts the concert business was seat of the pants, and now it's giant corporations. So it's really changed.
So you at that time, so you ended up then starting. What are some of the bands that you've done security for, or that you feel like? I've heard you just mention randomly some of the biggest rock artists ever, and then you would tell a conversation like it was just you hanging out with them. So who are some of the? Who's the list?
You're working for them, but they're people, so they talk to you, and so I worked for anybody that Barry put out on the road or Bill put out on the road. Later on, I worked for Graham, and so you work for different bands. I worked for the Parliament Funkadelic. I worked for Jefferson Airplane. I Grateful Dead. Worked for they hired the Rolling Stones bouncers, the Who did afterward, and so country bands. I worked for Willie and Waylon. Emmylou Harris. Anybody that was out on the road between '69 and '85 when I stopped. I came back out of retirement to do the Wu-Tang in 2002, but I still don't know who the hell the JAMIROQUAI is. Who is that?
It's JAMIROQUAI.
What the hell can I think? All I can tell you, younger people, is your favorite bands suck. Your favorite bands suck. I mean, it's been done. It's been done to death.
So to make it about me, because there's Reep has two fans that are constantly letting him know that I talk too much, and they're gonna listen to country-ish because I talk. So for them, this is why I'm asking you that question. You were there Thursday night when I had this show. I called Reep, Jon, walking, because every once in a while we talk off of thing, and I think for like 10 minutes I was just spouting out, dude. I had like. It was one of those moments where you have to have gratitude.
It was otherworldly. The kid was sitting in the front row. He looked like he was 9 years old. He really looked too young. And he was 22. And he was sitting with this older lady who could have been his mother. And so Jon said, is this your mom? He said, no, it's my grandmother. So he came with his mom or his grandmother to the show. And he said, well, they got to talking. He said, the kid says, I live at home. And he said, you live in the basement, and he goes, there's nothing down there very much except my bed and a tanning machine, a tanning booth thing. And so he says, Jon says, who uses it? And he says, my mother's friends. And so he says, well, I've seen this, like tanning stars 80. It was just, I mean, everything the kid said. You couldn't even top it. I mean, if we had written this stuff for him, so Jon did 40 minutes with this kid before he did any jokes, and the audience was roaring because the kid would say, it was one of those nights, and it's what, we need to be fearless, and we need to just not rely on our act. And I don't like it when people talk to the crowd, but I like to hear jokes and think, man, I wish I would have written that. But this was really. The kid with the banner between the two of them was funnier than not funnier than his act, because he came out and got a standing ovation after that. But it was really something to see.
It was one of those things where you go, right? Because we have so many just crap shows, and Jon and Tammy will know where you call up afterwards and. You just kind of go, what are we doing? Fuck this. And then every once in a while.
I get those calls. Reep gets the good show calls. I get the crap show calls.
Yeah.
But anybody who works with Kevin is like when you get to Denver and you see that Kevin is working with you, Kevin, you have to understand I'm not just saying this because you're on there, like that is a big deal. I'm bummed if I don't get to see you in Denver.
Well, you're very kind to say that. I think we're very lucky.
Truth, right?
We're lucky here in Denver because we have great comics. And we have great people like you guys coming through. And so, we've had a great role models, to see what works and what doesn't.
I want to read one of the comments real quick, John, because I'm not used to this new platform we're using or whatever. And I thought this one was interesting. Someone named Sonia Collings said, it's kind of like Kevin's a cross between Sam Elliott, but he sounds like Tommy Chong.
Yeah,
right.
I work for Tommy Chong.
Oh, yeah?
Of course.
They were the opening act for Santana. So when I was bouncing for Santana, they came out and I think he stole my voice. He was being interviewed on the radio. My brother called me up and said, "You're on the radio right now." I said, "No, it's Tommy Chong."
Okay, so as much as I would like to talk about me and how hilarious I am off the cuff, let's go back to you, Kevin. And Tammy, feel free if you have things to talk about. I feel like
Well, I think Kevin has such an amazing story. Kevin, why don't you tell everybody too? Like I once called you and you were in Antarctica. You were like, you just got me. I have cell service because I'm in Antarctica and we were working with the penguins, right?
Yeah. Well, I've been very lucky, with my life. I just started off growing up Irish Catholic here in Denver, and then, then bouncing for bands, and then veterinary stories, and then humor and comedy. But then the conservation has been amazing for me. There's 10 million other forms of life on the planet besides us. And, we were given this wonderful intellect and this wonderful biodiversity, all these animals, and all the other animals are waiting for us to use our intellect to save the place. But I'm confident that we can. So I've been lucky I've been to Antarctica 3 times and then to the north, to the Arctic, with polar bears 7 times. And so it's amazing, and when people tell me, about global warming not happening or something. Sometimes when you go and see the incredible melting that's happening, it hits you home and it hits home pretty fast. And I think rather than beat people over the head with negativity, I think we have to be positive and we have to win this one. And I'm optimistic because I think people are creative, and I think we can. I mean, look what we did. We got a vaccine that quickly, and so I think we have to be optimistic. I'm a radical optimist. I'd say.
Again, people like go online and look up Kevin, because here's what I love about him. We can have the conversation we just had and then watch how I'm going to flip it, just like hitting scan on a radio dial. Now I'm going to ask you about smashing people in the face with a fake piece of wood you had on your arm during Rolling Stone concert. See? That's what's saying about him.
It wasn't wood. It was lead.
Why use wood when lead's available?
Yeah, exactly.
Your arm is big and your hand is little. But the thing about bouncing for bands was, it wasn't about bloody mouths. It was about not having bloody mouths and no lawsuits. I was proud that we put in so many people into concerts and nobody was hurt or crushed. And you want people to have a good time. And the name of the game is sequel. So over time, we went from thumping heads to having it be a nice show, a nice show. And I think to see the things when I worked for the Rolling Stones, the wheelchair kids would be down on the if they couldn't have them on the floor of the stadium because the kids jump when the lights go off from the sides and everybody rushes the floor, rushes the front of the stage. So if the wheelchair kids are down there, they would get crushed, and they would. And we were behind the barricade, so we couldn't help them, the bouncers. So they put them up high, away from everybody else, and it stigmatized the kids. Here's a kid in a wheelchair, and now he's just with 23 other wheelchair kids. But every show, Jagger would ask me, that we did, where are they? And I'd say they're in 23. How many chairs? 23. And he didn't do it as a photo op, and he didn't do it. We'd hide him and put some over his head and take him through the guts of the place, and he'd pop out, I'm dating myself, but I'd get 23 cassette tapes and 23 T-shirts, and they put a cassette tape on everybody's like, thanks for coming, baby. We couldn't do without you, and then just leave, And every time we walk back, it was, how can we ever forget how lucky we are? Why? Wow. You got this big body and thump heads for us, and And I got no, and we're so lucky. We can never forget it. And if he could say that, how much more we could do, right? So we can never forget how lucky we are. And what we do is little, but as comedians, what we do is small and beautiful, right? It's not the biggest deal. The fate of the Western world doesn't hang, but the people come in and they just have bad news. And, for 90 minutes, or for 130 minutes,
For 2 days.
For 100, it was 90 minutes for you, for 90 minutes, they get taken somewhere else, and they're out of it, and it's the best non-drug that there is, and these days are crazy. I mean, there's so much bad news, and you try and write jokes about this stuff that's happening. That joke they gagged on the other night, I said, why don't they play baseball in Wuhan? They eat bats. You can't even, everybody food, I mean, or you try and write your little jokes.
Hey, that's my closer.
Yeah, you can't get enough Wuhan stuff, and so I think, there's always been comedians. There's always been comedians. If we look at some of the cave walls, I was reading National Geographic, and some of them they think are cartoons, and they were made to be funny. Or you look at Pompeii, and and the stuff that was written on the walls. So there's always been a need for people to laugh, I think, and now more than ever.
I bet it said my sister-in-law's a whore on those walls too. Okay.
Yeah, there's probably one big giant pecker on there too.
Yeah, no, there is. I'm sure.
I wonder if there's somebody, cave painter guy back then. It was like, hey, if you like what was painted on the wall, I'm selling merch outside. Make sure you stop by the merch table.
The poor wife.
And there was always
the wife of the caveman would say, hey, quit writing on the walls. We won't get our damage deposit back.
Right.
Right. There was always somebody too. There was the guy who painted the walls and the guy who came up to him and said, I usually paint the walls. This week.
Yeah. At Denver, when people are leaving, I just walk out there and this woman comes up to me and she takes off her mask. She goes, I just have to say something to you. She goes, you're part of my healing. And I went, what? Mm-hmm. Go on. And she goes, I was in a coma for 5 months and they would play spoken word or comedy because somehow she explained to me, like, just so you hear people talking to you so your brain can kind of oppose the music or something. And you were a big part of that. And that was thing. And then she was there with maybe 30 people at the comedy club because I test well with people in a coma being forced to listen to comedians. I'm one of the hottest comedians on that playlist.
It was my act that actually put her in the coma.
Yeah, that's the thing. And she showed up and she told me that. I go, you had to listen to me for 5 months in a coma? She's like,
that's
yeah.
Right.
I'm like, so are you here to serve the lawsuit or are we cool? And then she goes, yeah, we're good. And then I had to ask her, because we've all been that tired where you're like, so what's a coma like? I'm not saying I don't want people to be in one, but it's got to feel good for like a day or two. Right?
Yeah. I bet you wake up out of it well rested,
Well, I think with comedy, music's the same way. I never could play an instrument. I'd rather sing than eat. Most people would rather hear me eat. But I think that, being that close to the music, all I could do would be a bouncer to get close to it. But the music, it's generational. I laugh at your guys' music, but I don't mean it because I can't understand your music. The music my music, a touchstone, a time that you go back to. I remember my father walking around the house helping my mother on Saturday mornings, and he's dusting and stuff. And he's got Frank Sinatra, and he goes, "Man, this really swings." And my brother and I were going making square signs, like, "Man, he's a square, Dad's a square." But if you go back and listen, it really does swing. And so, but everybody has their own generational stuff, so you really can't say my favorite band sucks.
So,
hey, John, let me ask
I want to make sure everybody who's listening, if you have any veterinarian,
I would like to ask a question at some point, if I may, John. Kevin. Well, it's not even really from me, but I'm just looking at the comments section. I don't know what this one means. Joel Pace wants to know if you still wear tights on stage.
I used to tap dance. But then
Yeah.
I had to remember to put the potato.
Of course you did.
You did what?
Of course
I'm
you
sorry.
You know, I always wanted, when I turned 50, I thought, you know what, I always wanted to learn how to tap dance. So I joined this group called the Whirling Dervishes. You know, I was the oldest. I was 50, and the second oldest was 8. But he got a lot of the solo. There was a 6-year-old and 2 5-year-olds. And so it's when we had the show on Animal Planet. So anyway, I wanted to learn how to tap dance. So I went and I told the woman, and she goes, yeah, we don't have adult things. You can join this group. So one day I was smoking a cigar, waiting to go and dance with my troupe. And one of the mothers said, whose father are you? And I said, you'll see. And I went and they threw me out of the troupe, but they were holding me back. So I put it in my, I used to take my pants off and have tights on and then tap dance. And that was my closer. And so
That might be one.
there's some really good about an old guy dancing, you know, and
yeah.
and so it was endearing, and I don't know what it was, but it was.
Kevin, don't say anymore because John's already thinking. Hef is already trying to figure out how we can sign up for a tap dancing class. Right
No, okay.
now.
So with that, Tammy, you
have us all
joke, Tammy.
tap dancing.
So I was telling Michelle 2 weeks ago.
See?
I said there's a thing I saw called Tap Fit. It's like Tybo.
What?
Have you seen
Tammy,
it? It's
you should start a psychic
Reep.
hotline, Tammy.
it's called Tap Fit, and the whole thing is you do tap dancing to stay in shape.
Yeah.
Heffron will want to tap dance.
Yeah, she called it. That's great.
That's fine. By the way, what I was going to say, John, is if you have any questions about your animals, Kevin might answer a few. I just want to make sure we get those in. Because I would do that. Every time I would go to Denver, I had 2 old dogs. And every time I see Kevin, I would just bring up my old dogs. And I'd always try to get out of them, how long do they have left, right? So it was like, you know, they're 13-year-old shepherds. I'm like, well, let's say I call them and they take a second to. And then over the years, so he's always been helpful.
Mm-hmm.
And then I told him.
I saw some questions someone asked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
guys. But I saw that there was someone who she said, I have a 13-month-old timber wolf hybrid and now 2 of her babies that are now going on 7 weeks. I guess that's not a question. But does Kevin have anything noteworthy to share about wolves?
Well, they've just reintroduced wolves here into Colorado, and
Oh, wow.
wolves are always here. The last wolf pack in Colorado was poisoned wolves were in every county in Colorado until 1913, and they're amazing animals. The last pack here, they did a football-shaped elliptical route that they covered every 10 days. It was about 60 miles long, and so they're a pack animal, and the younger males will eventually push off the older ones, and old crippled guys become lone wolves that they can't keep up, and amazing social animals, and our dogs came from wolves. Even Mrs. Thompson, my little dog, and came down to us from wolves, and wolves only wag their tails when they're puppies, and so
I did not know that.
So our dogs have kept a lot of baby things so that we'll feed them. Some people think dogs are social parasites, and they told some wolves told each other way back when, hey, if you follow those guys and wag your tail, they'll throw something at you, and, a chicken or a pork chop. So, but they're amazing. They can recognize our facial expressions. Dogs have, and wolves, if you look at them, the position of their tail, their ears, they're really social animals, and that's why I think they fit so well with people. I think that dogs aren't man's best friend, but they're wolf derived, and wolves are interesting animals. I think, but I don't know how compatible they're going to be here in Colorado with livestock. So we'll see.
Wow.
Kevin, so
here, this is what John's going to now think of the name of our tour, the Lone Wolves Tour.
Tammy, you don't.
Thanks
Okay, so Kevin,
just
I have a question for
inspired
you, Tammy. But do you remember what I said? One of the biggest things I said on our season of Last Comic Standing that aired in 1976 right after Sanford and Son.
Right after White Shadow.
Yeah. Do you remember what I said on that? I remember after
the lone
episode
wolf?
1, I look at the camera, right?
I'm the lone wolf.
And I go, I'm gonna be a lone wolf. I'm not getting more things. So I've always been a lone wolf.
Wow.
Tammy. Anyway, so Kevin.
Wait, hey, what about
That's what
penguins?
we'll
Let's
call
talk
it.
about penguins.
Yeah, let's talk about penguins.
Scott
Not in
Reese-
Cedar Rapids.
Scott Reese wants to know, is it true that penguins, and I don't know if this is true, do they not have a fear of humans, penguins?
Well, it's not that they don't have a fear. If you realize it, that probably only, just a little while ago, no humans set foot on Antarctica, until, the beginning of this century. So I think that there's parts of beaches that we would land on where they'd never seen people. And so they have no reason to fear you. So they walk up to you, they'll walk right up. That's a great question.
Can I ask a quick question? What about in Florida with this Burmese python? I heard it has no predator, that it actually can take on gators. Is that true?
Yes, my friend Doug Mader is a great veterinarian in the Keys, and I went out with him into the Everglades. And we used to think that they were just dumped, that people dump their pet, boa, or these are Burmese pythons. And so they.
Right. I heard that they came from the earth or the hurricanes, right?
Hurricane.
That's what they
The
had said.
hurricane blew from a pet store supply place, and maybe 300 or 400 of them into the Keys. And so with no natural predators, they can really take off. And there was one study done where they put radio transmitters into rabbits, 100 of them, and within 1 year they found 77 of them within pythons. So they're really going to have an impact. And there's a bounty on them. But you've been in the Everglades. I mean, it is so it's so thick and so dense that they'll never. I don't think you can ever find them all.
I have a random. You doing vets?
Invasive species like that, that where they shouldn't be, and that's it keeps happening with animals that come in. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to ask you as I'm looking at other questions. I don't know if we want to get into kangaroo vaginas.
That looks interesting.
Right.
Joke.
So
I think you should isolate that clip right there.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Here's what I love about Kevin. We can literally switch it, but I'm not going to do it to who was the coolest band. Go back to music. But I have a question. You just working at a vet place, and we had conversations in the green room about just various animals eating stuff, and you having to go in and retrieve it. You were telling me how horrible it is for cats to eat yarn because it's like bad news for the cat.
Wraps on the tongue and then comes out and cuts. Yeah. So
what are the things you've seen that animals have eaten?
Oh man, where have they not? I saw a chow eat a steak knife. A wristwatch. Thong underwear that wasn't the woman in the family. And so the husband was into dog thong underwear, and the woman wanted him back after it gone through the dog's intestinal tract. So wait a minute, you're kidding me, but
You weren't supposed to tell anybody that, Kevin. I asked you that in confidence.
The thing about it is that I think there's something about us. There's something about people that we need animals. We need the connection as we become more urban and live in these concrete cocoons. That we need to touch nature. And so I tell people get outside but the stuff that they can eat. I had an English bulldog and she was throwing up all the time. So I took an X-ray and there was something in her stomach, and I thought we could get it with the endoscope. So we've got the scope in there and turned it on. There's a screen so you can see where it is, and you can retrieve it with these little pinchers. And there was a face, and it was a dinosaur. And my nieces had fed 26 dinosaurs with peanut butter on them. We got them all out. And, they'll eat anything. And part of it's our problem because of boredom. They're bored and there's nothing to do in the house. So I think we have to safeguard their environment. But more talk about bands.
Well,
Yeah.
I got a
No,
little nervous because I was watching the comments, and then I saw something go, "Who's the ghost between Heffron?" And then somebody goes, "Tell me that I'm somebody else saw it." And right, you guys,
I don't know what
John or
there's.
Tammy, John, if you saw something behind me, would you let me know, or is that?
Yeah, I don't know
No,
what they're
of course
seeing.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm
Anyway,
trying
sorry.
to blow the screen up a little bit. I don't know. I think they're seeing, your music stand over there.
Mm-hmm.
There might be something like a shadow there.
Okay. All
Maybe
right.
they don't know that you're
Maybe you're
that
evil.
you have all kinds of paint blues.
Maybe you're evil.
Yeah.
Kevin, so
Maybe it's
if we go back to your bouncing days, who right? People always want to hear crappy stories about people. Out of everybody you worked with, who do you think of that when you think of them very fondly, going, that person was just a good person?
Gladys Knight. Gladys
Knight.
the sweetest woman in the history of the world. Always remembered you for the next tour. Oh, how's vet school? How you doing? I mean, and had so much time for her fans, and just, no, Gladys Knight, oh, Gracie Slick, I mean, the coolest ever, I mean, and just, you meet these people and you realize that they're just people, that they got to this stage where, but unless they buy into it, but it's so nice when they don't buy into it. It's like the comedians we know that have gotten to that rarefied air status, and then they're still really great people, I mean,
Yeah.
Norm Macdonald, he would tell me, he goes, "Is it really true that dogs can't look up?" What? Who told you that? And he goes, I just always wondered, you're like a science guy. You can help me with this, Of course they can look up, So
I know. I feel bad that we ask you all the time. Like I called you a couple weeks ago, but just to be fair, just know this, that I also call Ken Jeong with any medical questions I have too, just so you know.
Yeah.
Just because, hey, we're friends, and
well, that's what I do. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
I mean,
I trust.
So if I can't help you, I'm not the smartest veterinarian in the world. We have specialists, but I can find somebody that can help you. And after 40 years, I do have some experience with it. So I do it every day still. I just came from work now, and we had great stuff today. Great stuff. Had an iguana got into a piggy bank and ate a bunch of pennies, and they have, they're made now from zinc, and zinc is poisonous, and so we had to get them out with the endoscope. So but coins have salt on them, and so it's all from human hands. So that probably what had him. We should tell him something to learn something. We also had a dog with a ping pong ball crazy glued to the top of his head, and the woman tried to pull it off, and she took scissors, this golden retriever, and he was looking around like, what? And so the woman cut the top of the head, and so for the people out there, if you want something to release crazy glue, Neosporin has something in it that'll make it pop off. And so it was nice. And then I looked in the corner, and
where were you with the Gorilla Glue lady? you
right.
Go to her.
Yeah, we had a comic that we worked with this weekend, and I forgot his name, but he was the guy who went in front of me, the big guy from like Oklahoma.
Yeah, Derek Stroup from Alabama. Yeah.
What's his name?
Derek Stroup.
Derek Stroup. So he's one of those guys where when you see him performing in front of you, you just stop eating, and you just kind of go, oh, I gotta punch in. This is going to be difficult. He just gets on stage and murders the whole time. Super friendly.
Wow.
Just this big, right? I mean, I even looked at you and I go, can you go out and just like read him a book for 2 minutes, please? Because then I'll take a moment. But he was telling a story about he had a cat, and he was trying to make his cat look nicer and clipped all of his cat's whiskers off to trim them. And then the poor cat was walking on like it was drunk and couldn't have any balance. I didn't know that cat whiskers do that. I've never thought about clipping my cat's whiskers when I had cats.
They have these long tracks, these long nerve tracks that go to the brain for balance and for So it's they're very important.
That's why old people get nose hairs. Right? So that explains it. So
You guys aren't old. You guys aren't old. The stuff.
Okay.
I just turned 70, and they had a roast for me. It was great. You know, the community.
Oh, I wish I would have known. I would have come out for that. I adore you that much.
It was so great, but I mean, you never think you're gonna be, that guy, and it's not you, And I listen to my music. My nieces come over. They call my house Old Town because the stuff I listen to, But I can't. It's not real to listen to their thing and snap your fingers and stuff. I don't know who JAMIROQUAI is.
Wait,
well,
tell
no,
me
Kevin,
your
not that
favorite
you
roast joke.
just didn't age yourself, but I don't think anybody snapped their fingers for at least 40 years.
I still snap.
Hey.
I don't. Do people snap? I don't even know. I've not seen one
They Snapchat.
TikTok snap
Snapchat.
video. Nobody.
I'm on fire. Don't you know, Reep? I'm on fire.
Tammy, you're killing
I'm
it.
not an hour 40 minutes fire like Heff in Denver, but I'm on fire right here on the Reep and
You know who
Heffron
snaps
podcast.
is,
I'm flipping it around.
Greg Hahn does a lot of snapping, doesn't he?
I don't know that guy.
Kevin, what was your favorite roast joke that they said to you?
Well, they were just mean mainly,
Oh, great.
I've been dating that same girl that you met, and she said,
Yeah.
I like to play connect the dots with his liver spots. Stuff like that. But I
She
got
wrote
to
that herself?
No, I wrote all her jokes. She wrote a lot. But I got to say things, and rebut them, and Josh Blue was there, and he kept leaving this stage, going to the dressing room. All of a sudden, this fog would come out, come back, and then he'd keep leaving and coming back. And I said, they say that he smokes a lot of pot, but actually, he has to buy that much because he spills so much when he rolls his joints. We were mean to each other. I mean, there was another older guy, and I said, I wish they could have met you when you were still alive.
That's awesome.
What's I see you have a puppy there on your lap. What's your dog's name? What kind of dog are we looking at here?
This is Mrs. Thompson, and she's she was a stray. The Denver police brought her in. Just stay still. And so anyway, she put you up so they can see you. So she brought in. She'd been out in the snow and was frostbitten and was a stray and they were crying. The police were, they get a bad rap, but man, they do nice things. And they brought this dog and he put her to sleep. She's too frozen. But I warmed her up. I was going to find a home for her, but that was 4 years ago. Now she's my vice president. She's a lot of company. She's a lot of company. So yeah, I use her in my act.
You should bring, like we were talking with Alonzo Bowden last week, and he's got a big Marmaduke Great Dane, and me and John told Alonzo, listen, bring your dog on stage with you. Like, it can't be all these people with little dogs, man.
I started off as an animal actor. I started off as a chicken act. I had it was Chick Fowler and Jackie Davis, and I was Chick Fowler, and I played the accordion, and the chicken would dance. And then I stapled some just little tinsel to his arms and go like this. He didn't like the music. Actually, didn't like the music. And then folks, I know you love to see me, but the real star of the show is I bring out a little tiny chick, Jackie Davis Jr. But the chickens move their paws.
I can't read that. What does it say?
Chicken man.
Chickens, man. That's what he's thinking. Kevin, this is everything that Jeff is thinking. I know. Chickens,
I love that.
Man.
I love that you can see it inside of his brain as someone's talking. Yeah.
Well, we've okay. So 2 weeks ago, we were talking about having chickens in the chicken coop. And then we were I was like, okay, Kevin, did I not tell you about chickens?
Yeah.
Okay. No, Tammy, here's how amazing you are.
I know you.
I talked about chickens.
I know you. We
I-
have been friends.
I-
We're like brother and sister. I know you.
I told
love
Kevin,
you.
I go,
know
we
what
want to
your
get
thoughts are."
chickens, and then I go, but the only problem with getting chickens is then I got to create the entire world there, because now I got to fend off the coyotes to fight the chickens, and then we start talking about worm farming. That was the other ideal I had, where I was going to get worms, get the soil good, and sell the soil to the pot guys that need good soil for their pot. And then Kevin told me that he had already had a thing called the Circle. What was it called?
Ranch. I had a worm ranch. I bought this worm ranch. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My roommate from college, Fred the German, he said, listen, my grandmother died and I have $7,000, and my grandmother had died and left me a little money. So he said, you know what? I know what do people always need? Worms. So let's buy the Circle O worm range. So we did. And so, but, there was a worm drought and we lost our money.
What do people always need? Worms.
Worms. Wait, and then here's his next thought. Mushrooms.
Worms. Oh,
Because then he thought about mushrooms.
He was
I know
older
he thought
than I
about
was.
mushrooms.
So I was
Admit it.
Okay.
Admit it.
So Tammy just showed mushrooms, right? Let's see if she's right. Kevin, this weekend, what did we also all talk about? We talked about
What do
mushrooms,
I
and then I
win?
started talking about that other thing, Creighton, the Creighton thing that I just discovered. That's like kava, and then we had to look up to see if it was actual drug. So, Tammy, we
Can't
already.
do it anymore. I gotta leave.
Anyway.
You were channeling us. You were there.
You were channeling. We had all those conversations. We talked about worms, then we talked about mushrooms, and we all that stuff. Tammy, we're just gonna have you on to predict, like, I got some ideas, Tammy. We're gonna.
I know
She knows what they are.
Yeah,
You know
knows
how
what they
hard it
are.
is to know this dude's thought process. Like
That's amazing.
I
I'm
don't know
I'm really
if
sitting
I
back
could be-
like I'm in awe of this. I mean,
I should be nominated for some kind of Nobel Peace Prize.
it's like 4 times in a row.
Laughing.
Yeah. Are you from the future?
How many?
Yeah.
I think she is.
Me and Tammy would kill it during Pictionary. Like, I would just draw a dot, then she would be like, "Abe Lincoln,"
I'd be like,
and everyone's like, "How did you know?"
See, I knew he was going for a person.
That is hilarious.
All right, everybody.
Well, guys, I mean, we are already
I love you
over
guys.
an hour, 15 minutes here.
So what do we learn? Let's make sure.
Yeah.
We learned about
The
crazy glue this morning.
Do what?
I love that. I just want to know how. Do you ask why there was a ping pong ball on the dog's head?
The 3-year-old crazy glued the ping pong ball to the little dog.
Okay.
And then
That
he
makes
went in the
sense.
corner in disgrace. And I said, his name was Andrew. I said, Andrew, come here. Show me your hands. And he went like this. And his hands,
Because they were all stuck.
he'd been playing with crazy glue. And then crazy glued the ping pong ball to the top of the dog's head. The poor
Well, then
dog.
real quick, Kevin, tell the story about what happened with your dog and you trying to figure out what was wrong with the dog's stomach. 'Cause
Oh,
it
yeah,
fits
the
perfectly.
one with
Yeah.
the dinosaurs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we turned on the endoscope, and I knew there was something in the stomach, and there was a dinosaur face. There were rubber dinosaurs. My nieces had fed to her. They were her toys. So yeah, the stuff you find in their stomachs, it's amazing. I mean, it's humorous, but it's not funny then. It's funny 6 months later.
Yeah, he said that he took the scope or whatever, the camera, stuck it down the dog, and then saw a face looking back at him through the camera. And it was these plastic dinosaurs that somebody in his family was putting peanut butter on and just having the dog eat
it's
these
funny.
little tiny plastic toys, which
But they
Yeah.
they bound up in there, So no, it's
also here's how we'll let you go, Kevin, or just here's one of maybe the coolest things. Kevin is the voice at the terminal or at the train you take when you land in Denver. When you go into the little train and it takes you, you're going to go to
So
terminal A,
cool.
B, and then baggage claim. So a guy showed up at his show and said, "Hey, will you be the voice of the train?" Then the guy, Kevin, shows up at where you work and says, I got recording stuff. How much money do you want? And Kevin's like, I didn't even know I was going to get paid. And Kevin had to do surgery for some lady's cat and looked at the guy and said, pay for the cat surgery and I'll do it. And then that's how, and then he did it. That was it. That was the exchange.
He also is the spokesperson for a certain license plate in Colorado, right? That gives back to animals. What was that, Kevin?
Yeah, I did that. We did some commercials for that. It's a license plate for shelter animals, and so the money goes to shelters. 2,500 puppies and kittens are born every hour in the United States. There's so many unwanted. The shelters are just jam packed. And people, I don't want to neuter my dog. What do you mean? It'd be like taking off my own testicle, And so, I mean, we just need to educate people, So I think you can educate painlessly. And I think you guys do it with your comedy, really.
It's a burden we all carry, Kevin. It's every night. Me and John and Tammy, we go to sleep and we have 3 bunk beds. I'm usually top. Tammy's in the middle and John's on the bottom. Okay, guys, we're going to get up and bring laughter and happiness tomorrow. And then we just say, good night, John. Good night, Tammy. Good night, John. Yeah.
You're making usually what happens. But in a way, though, I think we make our little side of the street better as comics.
I think that we need to create our own reality show. We're just going to lock ourselves in a bunker for a week and see what comes out of it. I think if we stay alive at the end.
We could do it at my farmhouse here when we all do a show together. John's been here. John can hear the bees. That's my favorite quote. I always tell people when I go, how's your house in Michigan? I go, I love it. It's this old ass farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. And it just has this vibe. And I go, Jon Reep was here. And he just told me, you sit on the porch and you can hear bees.
Wow. Hey, can I ask, I know you guys got to go. And one quick thing, Kevin, I have a theory that Amazon brought those stink bugs because we never had those stink bugs before. When I was a kid, they weren't around. And they're based. Those bugs are originally from China. Am I onto something there?
You certainly could be. It's such a world community now. It's such a global community, and so something happens. And, a guy gets on an airplane in China with a suitcase, and there could be those bugs, and it's a pregnant female, and she lands in New York City. We talked about invasive species before that you brought up. With the Burmese pythons, and so when things end up outside of their normal range and don't have any checks and balances, no predators or no diseases, it's just it used to be people never traveled. My Irish grandmother, never got to the next town in Ireland. It was she didn't have a car. It was just you married who was in the next house probably. And everybody had funny heads.
Yeah. Also, so I'm gonna build Bezos for my exterminator.
All right, John.
Not all of them are winners. Okay, don't judge me.
Look, you were. Everyone was a home run to that last one. It was like a double. It was good though.
I hope people found it.
It's bedtime. It's after it.
Right.
I hope people found it interesting. I don't know. You never find your own.
Oh, that was great. You kidding me?
Never find your own life interesting, but have me back,
Kevin. Everyone loves you.
We have so many other questions, and we'll have you on again. We'll bounce from music to just everything.
Oh, there's his. Alan put his website up. Go check out his website, drkevinfitzgerald.com. I want to know if he's related to the F. Scott Fitzgerald.
I really don't have a website. I haven't done anything with it, but I've been working on a book, so maybe that it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Well, we'll definitely have you on. We'll talk about that. Pescatelli. I say Pescatelli, your last name. Where are you at in the next couple of weeks?
John, I don't know. I'm kind of by you in Ferndale at the Magic Bag.
When?
312. Someone come visit me March 12th. I'm in Philly and Helium next weekend, the 10th through the 12th.
Just
and
there?
Columbus Funny Bone.
Awesome. Look at you working the Columbus Funny Bone.
Just one day.
Number. Good. Both of you guys showing up
Just
there.
One day.
Place.
Just
Yeah.
on
One day.
Valentine's Day.
Are you doing like a 4
Just
o'clock
one
show?
day.
You doing what day are you doing?
I would like to do a 4 o'clock show. You
No.
think that's an insult to me?
No,
If
no.
they would tell me that I could do a 5 o'clock bingo and comedy
Wanna do
show,
it?
I
have
think
an
I'd
idea.
be down for it.
We'll call it the In Bed by 9 tour. Let's do 4 o'clock shows. Let's
For the
do 4
Jerry-
o'clock shows. We'll talk.
On
John,
Saturdays.
where you at in the next couple weeks?
This weekend, Albany, New York at the Funny Bone, and then next weekend,
Mm.
Kansas City, Missouri Improv, Richmond, Virginia. After that, on and on.
This week.
February 4th through the 5th, not January, right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, February.
4th.
Right, February.
February 4th and 5th. This, I am at the Atlanta Punchline the 17th, 18th, and 19th. I was going to Rick Springfield on that Wednesday, but I have 2 tickets front row if anybody's interested. And then I'm in Indianapolis at Helium because either some comic got COVID or somebody fell out. That's the only reason why I'm there. I'm at Helium Comedy Club in Indianapolis the last weekend of this month. It's going to be a fun show, but I know somebody fell out.
John, that would be another good name for you, the Fallout Boys. That'd be,
I should. It's literally. Yeah, I think that's what happens. I think, a weigh-ins couldn't show up, and then they have me rolling, but that's good.
That's what I always said.
And complain that you didn't sell tickets.
I always said
Somebody
that-
said to me, well, why are you going out? Don't you care about your fans? Garth Brooks canceled all of his shows because he cares about his fans. And I said, well, I didn't write Friends in Low Places. So I got to go to work. So please come
I always said
support
that
us all.
I was a disappointment act. Somebody else had fallen out. And so people are disappointed that I was there.
All right, everybody. Don't forget to stream all of our comedy on every platform that exists except for one. Until next time, John, we need a closer phrase, I think.
Oh, yeah, we need a sign-off thing. We used to
We'll
have
think
Rick
of it.
Sanford III would sign us out, but nobody.
Nah,
just-
that's
I know
long.
I know what John would say is the closer phrase. I just
Okay.
ran out of post-it
Okay, we'll wait
notes.
for that.
Here's what John wants to say. Here's what he's thinking in his head. Here's what John wants it to be. This is what one of John's thinks. He's thinking several things in his head, but one of them for sure is rock out.
That's it. That's exactly everybody. Make sure you rock out and don't be square. And then we snap.
Bye.
And then Alan shuts off the show.
Love you
Bye,
all.
everybody.